in an economy, we have to kind of go back to the basic fundamentals of the economy with tariffs. There's a lot of debate right now on both sides on tariffs. Do you do it? Do you not do it? You know, you look at trade surplus and trade deficits, right? Okay. So the way to explain that, a lot of people, when you say tariffs, what is a tariff? What is a trade surplus? What is a trade deficit? I don't really know what all this stuff is. Here's all it is. Let's say you and I, peers, are in sales. You sell real estate, I sell auto insurance, okay? We're in London, and we meet at a networking event. You've been in the business 5 years, I've been in the business 5 years. I say to you, peers, why don't you and I, you're successful, I'm successful, you send me referrals, I send you referrals. Deal? Deal, no problem. If people want to buy homes, I'll send it to you. If people want to buy auto insurance, send them my way, great. 6 months goes by. You gave me 5 referrals, I've given you 0. No problem. 2 years goes by. You've given me 200 referrals, I've given you 10. 5 years goes by. You've given me 1,100 referrals, I've given you 100. What are you asking yourself at this point? How much longer are you going to give me referrals? I'm winning, I'm making money, but I'm not giving you any of it, right? US, our trade deficit is at $1.1 trillion. That means we've given the world more business than they've given us. Number one is China, then it's Germany. China's trade surplus is $840 billion. The world has given China $840 billion more than China's given to others. Number two is Germany. Germany is around 240. Someone has to go and sit down with these guys and have the conversation and say, hey, let's just say I'm the guy that gets the job. Hey, how you doing? Great, fantastic. Hey, this is Patrick Bet-David. I'm representing the president. I notice our surplus is XYZ. We have a new plan we call the XYZ Initiative. I'd like to come and meet with you in the Treasury, whatever it is. We have to make a decision. We have 3 options. Number one, we announce tariffs, and it'll incrementally keep going up every month. Number two, you have to choose to buy from us the same amount that we're giving to you. And we'll give you 30 industries to buy from. We need you to buy $200 billion of stuff committed every single year, from automotive, from this, from this, from that, from this. You do that, we don't have any problem. You don't, tariffs are coming your way. How would you like to meet sometime next week? We're on our way. We called the 30 countries that we're giving you more business than you're giving us. We come to you, great, can we do a deal? Love to try your food. I'd love to try what you have going on. Fantastic, deal is good. Send us business, buy from these folks. We have to stay strong there. Jim Jordan was on my podcast yesterday, and one thing when I asked Jim Jordan, I said, you know how Twitter files took place and we learned about the communication that Twitter was having with Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's camp was saying, take this down. Don't let this Hunter Biden story stay. New York Post, all this stuff that was going on. And then Elon Musk shows it to us what's going on, to the point that Mark Zuckerberg 4 months ago had to write that letter to Honorable Chairman Jim Jordan and say, hey, I apologize the fact that we were asked to do this, and even though we had the choice not to do, we chose to do it. Biggest mistake of my life. I'm choosing not to support anybody, all this other stuff, right? I asked Jim, what can we do to have something like that, except it's called FBI files, DOJ files, IRS files, CIA files? What if we hire somebody that goes and investigates all the email exchange and shows us exactly what's going on and tell the world? What do you think we need to do for that? He says, well, Trump can do that. I said, who do you think he needs to fire? He says, he needs to fire everybody and then some. I said, what do you mean by? He says, he needs to fire some people that he can't even fire. He should fire those guys. I said, really? He says, yes. Because the people that are in there that don't love America, that don't look at us as number one, and maybe are helping out other people, we have to realize these people that are on the inside don't love America. You got to be gone. And if you're another country that you hate America, we don't need to do business together moving forward.
Fascinating. I mean, it could be very transformative, this second Trump term, particularly if he's being advised by people like Elon Musk, who've gone in and said we can take $2 trillion off the government spending and everything else. He probably could, I mean, given what he did at Twitter.
By the way, if they go in and they pull that off, when Twitter used to have 7,500 employees, Elon comes in with the kitchen sink. Do you remember that when he came in with that? Fires 50% overnight. That's 3,750. The next day, 1,250 quit. So now he's at 2,500 employees. He goes from 7,500 to 2,500 employees. The company's operating. There's nothing like you're feeling glitches or anything that took place. How did you get rid of 66% of your employees and nobody felt it?
It's a debt we'll be paying for years, and we're already seeing the effects. It's the justification for the massive inflation and price rises we've seen so far. But of course, this isn't the full story. A lot of that hardship has been caused by corporate profiteering off of the crisis. While the average American got poorer, the richest Americans made an absolute killing. The 10 richest men in the US doubled their money over the course of the pandemic, giving them 6 times more wealth than the poorest 3 billion people in the entire world. Some of that profit was from inflation. A lot more though was from what amounts to price gouging. Take a look at pretty much any company that raised their prices during the crisis, and you'll find that they also gave massive bonuses to their executives and shareholders. It's just yet more evidence of the massive levels of inequality in modern society. But it also shouldn't really be anything new if you've been paying attention. While this was a massive transfer of wealth, it still falls far behind what's coming in the near future, when a different kind of financial inequality in society gets addressed. Surveys of millennials, for example, showed they're not spending more money than other generations do on impractical purchases. Instead, they're spending proportionally more on things like rent, food, and electricity. It leads us into our second attempt at an explanation, one which hinges on prosperity and recession. Just look at the economic environments that people born in the 1950s lived through. Except for a few minor bumps, most of their working lives were spent in an age of prosperity and unrestricted growth. Wage and asset prices steadily increased, meaning people could invest more money into their future, and those investments quickly gained lots of value. It fits in with the picture of a blue-collar worker being able to buy a 4-bedroom house for their young family. Then that house easily increases in value by over 1000%. Meanwhile, people born after them have been dealt a worse hand. Growth has tapered off, which along with 2 recessions within a decade of each other, destroyed young people's chances at a life as plentiful as their parents enjoyed. While this picture might seem more accurate, it's also definitely more depressing. It's a crisis, and if there's anyone who knows how to take advantage, it's the corporations. While they might not be very interested in agriculture itself as an industry, they are interested in the land the farms are on. Just like any asset like property or stocks, it's ripe for speculation and financial manipulation. But owning farmland as an asset also carries lots of tax benefits. As a long-term investment, it dodges the short-term capital gains tax, which is a lot higher than the tax you get if you own something for over a year. You can even avoid the capital gains tax entirely if you sell one farm to buy another, letting corporations constantly leap from farm to farm, gaining a larger property portfolio in the process. But that's not the only benefit for wealthy investors. You can write off other losses against the cost of operating the farm, while getting access to government subsidies meant to help out smaller family-owned operations. It's a perfect storm of incentives that are turning mass corporate ownership of farmland into something unavoidable. But with all of this out of the way, how bad has it gotten so far? We've already seen how much damage corporate ownership of single-family homes has done to the overall market. When investment firms and hedge funds got their billions involved, it made it all more expensive and priced out regular people. The fear is that the same thing is now going to happen to farmland as well. While it hasn't really caught on yet amongst the Wall Street elites, it's a growing trend. Famously, Bill Gates has bought thousands and thousands of hectares of farmland. Bezos owns over 400,000 hectares himself. Large investment firms have also gotten in on the rush. From 2008 to 2023, the amount of farmland bought up by investment firms went up by over 200%. The reasons this is happening are fairly simple on the face of it. Things like single-family homes and farmland, they're stable assets, or at least in the case of homes, they used to be. For a company whose only interest is in safeguarding and growing their pile of money, it's a great place to put your profits.
It's really not just one person controlling that much farmland. It's having a technocrat. I think that Bill Gates, not just Bill Gates, but the people like Bill Gates, find technology as being the solution for every problem. If the only tool you got is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And with what he's done in Africa and India and some other places, caused me to really, nothing I can do about it. It's caused me to really disdain technocrats controlling land.
We like to think we've advanced past these medieval seeming ideas, but at the end of the day, control over food and land is what's given people power for thousands of years. This transition from lots of independent farmers owning their farms to just a few wealthy landowners is a slide back towards feudalism however you look at it. There might not be any castles or knights anymore, but the power is still shifting in that direction. It's pretty likely that this isn't what drives these decisions. It's probably just about money, as it always is, but all these greedy decisions have a way of eventually shifting the scales themselves. Inevitably, it all lines up with the greater shift towards inequality. They want to own everything and they have the money to buy it. In this way, the great wealth transfer doesn't represent an escape from this reality. Instead, it's just another opportunity the powerful will use to take even more of the pie.